Boys, how are we all? Welcome back again. Now, last week we ran the blue car up on the dyno, the new Haltech and the 5E, and we're running into some issues where the engine just kept running lean, and it didn't matter if we were turning the injectors up on the ECU to put more fuel in there. We couldn't get the air fuels below 13.5. The engine's making around 260 horsepower at about halfway through the rev range. As soon as it starts going over that, the engine just starts leaning out. We were listening to the 044 fuel pump and it sounded a bit noisy, so we went ahead and we checked the voltage on it, and the voltage was sweet. The next step was we could hear it was quite noisy, so we thought maybe there's something wrong with the fuel pump, so we went ahead and replaced that. Did another run, the fuel flow increased a little bit, but the car was still leaning out. Didn't really make much of a difference. We then went ahead and pulled out the billet fuel filters, gave them a good clean out, put it back in the car, did another on the dyno, and it's still running lean. At this point I had the shits and we decided to pull the pin and took the car off the dyno, and I went back to the workshop and I started pulling my hair out trying to figure out what the hell's going on here. I pulled all 8 injectors out, went and got all of those cleaned and flow tested, and the results came back perfect. I had a brand new fuel pressure regulator, went and fitted that up to the car just to, you know, at this point I'm just grabbing at straws trying to figure out what's going on. Also replaced both of those billet fuel filters, and even though I replaced all of that, I'm still having problems. I mean, the fuel system that I built this for is meant to be good for 550 horsepower each engine, and we're at 260 and, you know, not going anywhere. So I started looking back on some of the old videos that I've done and the progress and things that I've done on the car. That 265 horsepower that we made last weekend is the most power that any combo in this blue car has ever made before. Last time we had a stock engine in there with stock valve springs just running on E85 with all the good bolt-ons, and it made around 250 horsepower. And I remember we did a dyno test where we clamped the wastegate hose to see if we could do a maximum horsepower test, and it didn't matter. The maximum horsepower that engine made was 250 horsepower. So to me, that's telling me that we already had those fuel dramas a long time ago, and I just didn't pick up what was going on. So this fuel system here, we've got -6 Teflon hose, which the inside diameter of that's 8 millimeters. And then once we go through the bulkhead here, it then goes to a hard line and goes under the car. Now I know this is ridiculous and you're probably going to laugh at me that I didn't pick this up, but I'm pretty glad today that I can let you know about this massive, and hopefully you guys don't fall down the same trap. But check this out. So everybody knows that -6 hose, -6 Teflon hose is good for 500 to 600 horsepower at the wheels. The problem is when I adapted this to go through the bulkhead into the hard line, it's listed as a -6 hard line, but in fact it's 8 millimeters on the outside and not the inside diameter. And I mean, have a look at this to see if I can hold it. Look at the whole difference. Look at the whole difference. So this one's 8 mil on the inside diameter, and this one's 8 mil on the outside diameter, and the proper fittings you use to adapt this to that, that's it. How the f is that meant to work? So the plan is now, I'm going to completely ditch all the hard line. I'm going to put a fitting on either end of this and run it all the way under the car up to the fuel filter, and hopefully this fixes our flow issues. Before I rip it out though, I'm going to pull the fitting off the front of the car and we'll just do a 10-second flow test and see how many liters we get. Then we'll go and fit up the new hose and see if that increases and go from there. So all I want you to do is, when I say now, you just need to turn that red lever, not yet. Yeah, all you need to do is turn that, and I've bridged out the fuel pump so it'll turn on. All right, so I've got a measuring bucket here and we've got a stopwatch. So when I tell Peter to go, we'll start timing, and I don't know how much fuel is going to come out of here, so we might aim for 6 seconds, but if it's not very full, then we'll go for 10 seconds. Right, Peter, ready? I'll count down. 3, 2, 1, go. Stop. Alright, so how much fuel do we have? That actually looked pretty good. Alright, so 10 seconds of fuel flow. We ended up with just over 800 mils. It's probably going to be 800 mils, yeah. Alright. So we'll go around the fuel line now and then we'll go and test it again. So that's the feed and the return for the hard line that usually goes back to the fuel tank. And here's our new Teflon Dash 6 that we've got running up under the car. And we'll go ahead and do a flow test. Ready, set, go. Stop. Alright, what have we got here? Wow, so that's just under a litre per 10 seconds compared to the 800 with the thin hose. So if we do some quick maths, the first test we had 800 mils per 10 seconds. If we times that by 6, we get a minute. So 4.8 litres a minute. And if we go times 60, it means we have 288 litres per hour. Now with the fatter hose, we've got 1 litre per 10 seconds times 6 is 6 litres a minute. 6 litres per minute times 60, 360 litres per hour. It's a pretty massive increase there, extra 80 litres.